I look forward to it being considered by Select Committee and to hearing public submissions on it. Thank you.
Mr Speaker.
Dennis O'Rourke.
Mr Speaker, first of all, the Palmerston Showgrounds are in fact a reserve under the Reserves Act 1977 and hence Crown land. The Waitaki District Council has applied for the reserve status to be revoked so that it can sell the land. It's got Department of Conservation and Ngāi Tahu consent. But there is insufficient information as far as I'm concerned in the explanatory note. It appears that the land was sold to the current lessees in May 2000, even though it was a reserve. We're not told why the showgrounds are being sold in that way, but the revocation as a reserve was publicly notified and there were in fact no objections. We presume that the land is no longer needed as showgrounds, but you wouldn't know that from the information that we are given. So I think that perhaps Parliament is being regarded to some extent as a rubber stamp in this matter. It's unclear what is really happening. We're first of all told that there was a purported sale in May 2000, and then we are told that the Council resolved to sell to the lessees in April 2004, subject to the surrender of the lease. And yet we're also told that the land is to be vested in the Crown subject to the lease, quote, so that the Council can consider selling the property to the current lessees. So I'm not sure what has actually happened here, and the explanatory note is as clear as mud. Very confusing indeed. However, it does appear that the bill will regularise the Council's errors in this matter, and we must assume that this is appropriate. I hope that the committee will have a good look at the reasons behind it. Secondly, the bill also deals with Lot 1 on DP 345820, and again, the Council sold a reserve, purportedly sold it, and it was in fact transferred and transferred again and again. The bill will vest the land legally in the current proprietors. DOC and Ngāi Tahu have consented. Again, no real explanation why the reserve status is not needed and why the land was originally purportedly sold. There's been no public notification, and we're left again to presume that the reasons for the revocation and sale are valid. Again, I hope that the committee will investigate this, because there is nothing in the bill as presented or in the explanations I've heard which would justify it. Thirdly, the Lookout Point land, originally endowment land for the Oamaru Borough, now the Waitaki District Council, then apparently erroneously made a reserve, and a title was issued with a reserve memorial on it. And hence there is said to be confusion about whether the land is a reserve or not. But once again, there's little or no explanation about the claim of confusion as to whether this land was genuinely to be a reserve or was to be just endowment land for the Council. As a matter of fact, however, the Order in Council of 1937 did make the land a reserve, so it is indisputably, in fact, actually a reserve, and therefore the Council should, in my view, have to go through the usual process to revoke a reserve, involving full public consultation and the full formal process for that to happen. And there is no information again why this reserve status should be revoked in this case. There has in fact been absolutely no public notification, no Department of Conservation consent, and no Ngāi Tahu consent. So we're simply told why the Waitaki, we are not told why the Waitaki District Council wants to sell. Now, I've just heard opposite that there is information there, but I've read everything that I can find on it, and I say this, that there isn't any information about that, and that the full process should have been gone through. So overall, New Zealand First objects to the introduction of this bill without adequate information, without clear reasons for the revocation of reserve status, without evidence of public notification, and without the usual due process. But New Zealand First will support the bill to go through to the Select Committee so that a more comprehensive explanation of all the circumstances behind these three pieces of land can be given, and we can have a good and proper look at whether the bill should in fact be passed.
Dr. the Honourable Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, I want to compliment David Parker, Eugenie